Well, yes. For a while, I've been doing analysis work for the team that is now the Team Immunity. They were formerly Extremers. I've just recently been picked up as their team manager as of this weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, well done.
So we've got two guests
Exciting.
on the show: the manager for Team Immunity and
Oh please. Oh please. This guy already. My God. My God.
Sangi 2.0.
Yeah, Israel. Monte Cristo, watch out. We need to set up a Twitter account for Claire Ego, don't you reckon? Like, that'd be awesome. They would totally do that. Perfect. See it.
it probably already exists now that you've said that. There's like someone in the Twitch chat's gone doing it. That's my account right now.
It's happening. Boom. Boom. Oh, that's really cool, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think this makes the news section every week. It's like you can follow us on Facebook.com, you can follow us on Twitter, and we're experiencing some noise difficulties. Now moving on.
Let's
Quality.
try that.
Quality.
There we go.
Tonight.
All right. Having lots of technical issues. Having somebody talks about the Oceanic Regionals while I try and sort stuff out and make things work better.
Yeah, sure. The Oceanic Regionals, the details have been posted up on the LeagueOfLegends.com OCE website. We've got Legacy and Exodus are already locked in. Has been the ACL Sydney winners and the Winter Champions. GG. And we've got very similar qualifying to last time. We've got the runner-up of Cybergamer, the winner of Cybergamer, the ACL online round winner, Road to Glory winner, and Road to Glory final chance. I don't actually have the details on those, so I'll have to do a little bit more of those, more investigating into that, and Challenger winner. So that's Challenger teams, obviously. So that's all very exciting. Sign up for one of the qualifiers, and your team could be off to EB Expo, Armageddon, or PAX Australia. That's going to be 3 separate LAN events for Oceanic Esports. That is just going to be awesome
Pretty
news.
cool.
Wait, did you say the Road to Glory was a
EBM
LAN?
last year?
No, the Armageddon, EB, and
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
There is actually LAN aspects of the Road to Glory because they've got the internet cafes and the university squads.
Yeah.
So there's.
Oh, is it the same as last time?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
okay.
this time though, there's a WA team. There's a seed into the Road to Glory tournament from WA. So finally, somebody I can actually
Wow.
barrack for.
Oh, okay. So we've already got a bunch of names down here, and internet cafes and
Yep,
universities.
I'll post
there.
that in the Twitch chat. Hopefully, all right, yeah. So I'll post all these things into the Twitch chat. Of course, we should mention that Legacy Esports is already qualified. So, and I think Exodus Gaming is already qualified as well.
Yep.
They have. I did mention that before while
okay,
you were
sorry.
fixing
Alright.
stuff.
Cool, good to see somebody else is on top of it, even if I'm not.
Well, I didn't have the Road to Glory stuff, so
Yeah, that's
we're,
true.
we're a team here. We're a team.
Yeah, we
here.
are, we are. So that's so this is a really good opportunity for anybody because I mean it is, I guess there is the chance that a regular team can make it through all the different qualification for Road to Glory. So if you're keen to play and give it a shot, get a team together, get down to your local LAN cafe, or I guess there's probably different tryouts for the university teams, so get into that. And yeah, you might make it all the way through to face the big teams at PAX.
Big dogs.
The big dogs.
Big dogs. Oh god.
Speaking of qualifying events, we got CGBL still going on.
I thought you were going to. Speaking of big dogs, go for
Well,
it already.
Yeah, that would have been an awesome segue. What a missed opportunity.
Oh, you've let me down already.
Yeah.
Already.
Well,
There's disrespect that you show the guests by not calling them big dogs. I mean, really.
it's yeah. Anyway, I'm off my game. These
Pretty sure.
technical issues throw me off. Anyway, CGPL. It was still a good segue. Come on, I still segued into CGPL. So that's still going on, including those games on the weekend. And currently the standings are Envy is on top with 4 wins. Then Avant-Garde is second, or tied with Exodus on second. Then Immunity fourth, Legacy fifth, and then YSSC, Team Unlimited, and Direwolves make up the last 3 spots. So I'm guessing, well, yeah, that's still ticking along quite nicely. In fact, well, did you want to talk about EGym, about your game on the weekend with Immunity?
With Immunity? Oh, that was last night, right?
Yeah, it was last
Yes.
night.
Yeah, that was last night. Oh, that is the weekend. It's Monday. Oh,
Yeah, it is Monday.
yeah. I don't know. The game's all right. There were a bit of technical difficulties. Like Claire was like DCing the entire first game. Not
Poor
like
Claire.
yeah. We were instead to win that game anyway. Like it's unfortunate, but I don't think it had it's not like they lost a 1 game sort of thing. Like I feel like we would have won that game regardless. And then second game, like I was disconnecting. Or like, I don't know how many people watched it, but oh my god, I was playing Braum and I went to like my ult, like, so I disconnected just before a dragon fight, right? And then my ult just wouldn't like work randomly after that point. And so at one stage I tried to flash ult 3 people and it just didn't cast. And so I just flashed and nothing happened. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my lord.
What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah, so I cast it again, and by that stage it was too late, and I just looked like, it just looked so awful. I was just like, oh, that was not good. But then yeah, so they took second game pretty convincingly. Like they won that, and then we took third game pretty convincingly as well. So we went 2-1. It's good for us, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably the best people to follow on Twitter would be Team Down TV. They are the guys who've been doing the shoutcasting, and a big shout out to those guys. They did great work. So yeah, I think it's at Team Down TV on Twitter, and they're on Facebook as well. So yeah, follow them, and of course I try to retweet it and share it on Facebook. So there've been some good games. So check them out. And I don't think there is any other sort of big news. So maybe we'll just sort of get into the interview side of things. So now the standard thing, EGym, which we have for anybody who's joining us on the OzLoL Podcast, is favorite role and favorite champ. So why don't you let the people know that?
Favorite role, I guess, support. A lot of people question that because it's seen as like support is seen as like the scum role. It's like, oh, I'm last pick, I have to support. What a burden. But it's like, I look at it as like, in terms of bot lane specifically, like people consider AD to be more fun, and I'm like, AD have to sit there and like hit minions all lane, and my job is literally to walk into lane and battle, and it's just like 20 times more fun.
Yep.
And I get like all the fun champions like Blitzcrank and Thresh, while they just right click things. So, and you just make 80 carries your bitch early game. So that's why I like support.
Yeah.
Like you have control. And then favorite champion, I guess, like, I don't really have one. It kind of shifts with what's good in the meta, but I guess I've got the most games on Thresh.
Okay.
And I was picked up in a team because I was like a Thresh main in solo queue. So I'll go with that.
Okay.
Honorable mention to support Anivia though. I'd like to throw that one out
okay.
there.
Is that the hidden OP?
That is, like, you just go full tank support Anivia and they have to kill you twice. And it's like, it's so troll. And you just like bait Baron and then wall off an entire choke. And it's just, people just don't expect it. It's so much fun.
Cool. Well, there you go. You heard it here first, people. Support Nivea is the future. Yeah. No, I'm a support main as well, and I'm totally on board with everything you just said.
Yeah.
Like, why you don't have to worry about CS, which is awesome, and you get to make all the plays, which is the best bit.
You don't get one shot by everyone.
Yeah.
Well, at least if you play tanks, you actually, like, you get in there.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
not a supporter of support Annie then.
Oh no, Annie. I do play squishy things. Like I have a tendency to play like tanky supports more than like Nami and stuff. But I do really enjoy playing like Nami and Morgana and stuff like that. But Annie, like I started getting good at support, I guess, in the Thresh Leona Annie meta, and I just refused, like absolute flat out refused to play Annie.
Yeah.
I'm just
Hate
like,
Annie.
that
She's my
champion
least favorite as well.
is pure scum. I'm just never doing
Yes.
it.
Totally
like-
agree with you.
Just delete her from the game because she was so broken.
Yes.
Like you'd start Doran Shield and you could literally just like right click the AD carry and you just win the lane.
Yeah.
And it was so stupid. I hated it so much.
Yeah, I basically like by the time that sort of because I'm the same. I like the tanky champions. Leona is pretty much the main champion that I've played, and then Thresh as well, and Tarek, and now Alistair. And yeah, when Annie was the big thing, I'm like, oh, I should probably get around to playing her. And then they nerfed her, so I was like, now I don't feel so bad that I completely ignored this OP champion in the bot lane.
Yeah, get rid of her.
Is there anybody that actually? I mean, it seems to me that most pro players, like support players, really dig the tanky sort of supports. Like, have you met anybody that's actually really into?
I like Rosie. He's.
Oh, of
like,
course, yeah.
Yeah, he loves stuff like Zillion and Nami and that. Like he's not a big fan. Well, he's always played off meta, I guess. Like at Winter, he played Ziggs and stuff like that, which is sort of been his downfall to some extent. Because well, yeah, and then but yeah, he favors like Nami, Zillion. He favors squishy things over tanks. He doesn't like it as much, and he like hates Braum when Braum got released, and like every other support was spamming it. He's just like he had the same mindset that I did for Annie. He's just like, this champion is disgusting. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
I never want to play this. But, yeah.
Yeah, we had Tegan on recently, and he was like, after we finished the show, he was talking about his win rate with Braum. He was like, yep, 70% win rate with Braum. He's totally balanced. Like, don't nerf him, guys. Yeah. All right, well, let's get into some of the stuff that's happened recently for Legacy Esports. So, now, of course, if you're wondering, listeners, who Legacy Esports are, they were formerly known as, in bygone days, they were Mind Freak, and then they became Avant-Garde Ascension, and then after winning Winter Regionals, they became Legacy. So, let's go all the way back to Winter Regionals, the Winter Regional Finals on that Sunday. Yeah. How was the team feeling like that morning of Winter Regionals?
The morning? I think I wasn't actually in the room when Cardred said this, but he like got in an elevator with Carbon and was just like, we're going to win this. We're going to win this today. And then we did. So that was good. But I like to say that I like to say that if you don't go into a game thinking you're going to win, you're just not going to win. So it's like I always go in confident. Like I don't really care who I'm playing against per se. And I guess like my teammates share that sort of thing. Like you have to go in confident, otherwise you're just not going to perform. So like I think the biggest difference between the mindsets of us and Immunity was Immunity were going in like expecting to win, whereas we were going in knowing we can, but we weren't like expecting to, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then
do you think
won.
that, like,
so that was great.
Like when you say that, like, what makes you say that? Like, is it a case of you spoke to them before that? You saw them on like Twitter? Was it a case of you saw their pick and ban phase and they were just like, you know what I mean? Like, what is it that makes you say that, or is it just kind of like you got that vibe, you know?
Oh, it's a bit of everything. Like I know them, and I love the guys from IM, but like they have been so dominant for so long, and they are. I wouldn't say cocky, but confident. They're always very, very confident, and so it comes off as cocky, I guess. And like they're making jokes that it's just like we're gonna beat you tomorrow, blah blah blah. Like it's all fun and games, but then
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until someone fails to qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was so you won Winter Regionals. I mean, what was it like that last game? You know, how nervous were you? How pumped were you? You know, was it?
No, I think nerves. Well, for me specifically, like nerves only come in on the first. Oh my God, Cardred's sending me so many messages. Shut up. God, nerves only come into it in like the first games. Like when you get out on stage and you're like, oh my God, there's all these people watching, and then like, but once you sit down, like you just focus on like the like monitor in front of you, right? Like nothing else really matters. So when people like ask about how crowd sizes like affect you, it's like I don't think it does too much. So going into the last game, nerves I don't think were really an issue. It was just like it was really intense because we'd won the first game and then we just like got completely dumpstered 2 games in a row, and it's just like oh my God. And then we even out the series and it's just like, well, it's 2-2, so it's basically just a best of 1. And then like we picked our comfort which is like, well, at the time was like Shyvana, and we just outscale, and that's how we won a lot of our games. Like we'd out rotate, et cetera, et cetera. And then they picked their comforts, which was like Ezreal and Ignite Renekton. And I think the fact that it was such an intense game, or like an intense moment, because like the winner gets to go to wildcards, right? That's huge. Was definitely in our favor, just based on what our comfort is, because like they were like, people are hesitant to like screw up, right? Like you don't want to force things too hard if you're in like a high pressure situation. And then their team comp had like Lee Sin, and they didn't have a teleport, so they were on a time limit basically. And we outscaled, so we just like sat back, and first blood wasn't until like 16 minutes. So we were just out of picks and bans based on the like context, I guess. We had a bit of an advantage.
Cool. Yeah, no, it was yeah, I didn't actually get a chance to, because I was actually in Perth. I live in WA, and I was actually in Perth for the event, but I had to leave early, so I was like driving home when you guys were playing. But watching the VODs, it was just crazy, like just an amazing game. And I mean, it's Immunity played well the whole tournament, and it is a shame for them. But it was just a great event overall. So it was very exciting. And I mean, so you won Winter Regionals. What happened after that? So, what did you guys do between Winter Regionals and then heading to Cologne?
Just, I don't know, just did the normal thing, we just practiced, we just scrimmed against teams. We did have ACL in between. And we had, we boot camped in Sydney with IM at like the Riot offices, so that like they let us play there for a week. I think it was a week, and so that was like really cool by Riot. That was like such a good experience. But unfortunately, Chuju's was in like, he's only 17, so he was in exam period, and he couldn't be there for most of that. So like not being able to boot camp with a full roster is kind of sucks. Like you can't take as much away as you'd like, sort of thing. Sure. And I guess IM learnt a lot more about us in that week than we did of them. And then, like you saw the results at ACL, the game against IM was, oh Lord, never again. So they just like figured out this like Tryndamere thing, and they just did it. And it was just like, well, because on the day we were just like, we hadn't been able to like deal with it during like the boot camp, and then on the day they picked it, and we're just like, Mickey's like, give me Yasuo, and I'm just like, well, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. And so we just kind of went with it, and it didn't work, and then we lost. So but I guess the question was about Germany. We just kind of like scrimmed and practiced and boot camped and stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, and when you arrived in Cologne, I know that who did you scrim when you got to Cologne?
Oh, so like when we got there, we were there for 3 days before we actually got to play. And we scrimmed, like we started off just playing rank 5s, because I guess OS is like a smaller region, and we got put in scrim chat because there's like a Skype group for like all the European teams. There is one for like OS as well. And so a lot of the teams, I guess, like OS isn't a big region, and they sort of didn't have a reason to play us, sort of thing. They were just like, oh, who's this random OS team? They'd set up scrims with each other, and so we didn't get scrims on like the first day or anything like that. So we just played rank 5s, and we're just like, on Riot like gave us accounts on a US, obviously, and so we just like practiced that way. And then the next day, did we scrim? We scrimmed like a few challenger teams, and then we scrimmed SK and Copenhagen Wolves.
Oh really?
And and that was
How'd that go?
That was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should leak scrim results.
Sure, fair enough. No, that's cool. Let's just say, was it like, did you take a lot out of it, or was it just kind of like, I was just playing another game?
No. Okay, so when we got over there, so I guess I'll set the scene. Like leaving OS, like before we'd left, I guess we were expecting to go over there, and if we got scrims versus like EU challenger teams and EU LCS teams, we were expecting to just like get raped. It's like EU's such a big region, etc. And we were just like happy to have games against them and see what we could learn. And then we get over there, and we like lost a ranked 5 game, and we were playing against like the number 1 ranked 5s challenger team over there. It's called Sparta, and we like queued into them a few times, and then they asked to scrim, and we like 3-0'd them in scrims, and it was like, oh my god, we're doing super well. Yeah, and then so like against the LCS teams, okay, I won't I won't name who, but like one of them, like we were ahead early in every single game, and I think that just comes down to meta differences. In that like OS, we just want to battle all the time, and EU
Yeah.
play super passive, and there was this big drama about how Carbon said, like EU's too easy.
Yeah.
Oh, he was talking about
So
scrims
funny.
and how he cut it, like, you know how I don't know, you get like nervous in an interview and you like
Yeah,
you cut
yeah.
your sentence short. He meant to say like it was too easy to gank early, but he just stopped it at too easy. And then people made videos and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
It's
So like yeah, we were getting like because they're not used to it, so they were just like getting ganked early and just like feeding kills, and we were getting so much gold. And like against one of the LCS teams, we were 16-4 at one stage, and then
wow.
yeah, it was like really cool. And then we get to mid game, and they're just like LCS level strategy, just completely rape us, and we got dumpstered. But so we won. So we like played a best of 3 against the 2 LCS teams. I won't name which, but we won the best of 3 against one of them and lost to the other.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Well done.
And
Yeah. I was about to say, when you're in Europe, you have to spend about 10 to 15 minutes clearing and placing wards at Baron, taking turns for the other team.
yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, their
If you
meta's
didn't do
just, like,
that, you're dead.
their meta's just like farm for 20 minutes, and then everybody fights with like 2 items, and we're just like level 3. Let's go.
All in,
Yeah.
baby. Let's do
Let's
this.
go.
I got
Yeah.
2 door invades now. I'm ready.
The dream, dude.
What sort of preparation did you do for against the actual wildcard teams? Because I mean, one of the difficulties for us, well, I think for all the smaller regions, is actually finding games and watching them. And obviously, there's a language barrier as well if they're not, they're not translating them into English. So how'd you go with like preparations for going against Russian Force and Dark Passage?
Yeah. So Russian Force, they were okay. No, I'll start with, so like ranked 5s is completely dead in Oceania. There's like not a population to support it. So like we don't play it at all. We only scrim. Whereas like in EU, the teams do play a lot of rank 5s. And so we had like ample opportunity to just like watch their games, and so like watch DP and watch Russian Forces games. And about 2 days before the event, so like when we were in Europe, we saw that like Russian Force had queued into Dark Passage like twice, and they were just complete 20-minute dumpsters, right? And we hadn't scrimmed either team, obviously, because you don't want to like, you don't want to
Right.
scrim a team 2
Yeah.
days before a tournament, you know. And so we were just like, we were focusing mainly on DP, which is what we'd expected to do, like leaving Australia. Like that's how we expected the tournament to be. We expected DP to be the harder team, and then like getting over there and they only having like 2 out of 5 of their main roster, like Russian Force, they just weren't like a team, you know. There's just like 3 solo queue players almost, and then a bot lane, and so yeah. But then against DP, I don't know, we just scouted their like picks, that sort of stuff, and we just like drafted the night before, and yeah, I don't know, the usual stuff.
Okay, and how do you feel? So you sort of said you sort of would you say you were confident going up against Russian Force?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
Yep.
we were confident going against both teams. Like, we
Yeah.
went in, or as I said in like the interview that was with Riot, that was like played on stream. It's like, I think we can win, and then I'd be disappointed if we don't. And so,
Yep.
like, you're going into it, I was like confident that we could win it.
Yep.
Whoops.
Well, okay, let's actually before we get into the games themselves, like what was the actual experience of Gamescom like? Because obviously it's a much bigger. I mean, I was at the Winter Regionals, and it was pretty good. I mean, there was probably a couple of hundred people standing there watching the stage.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty packed, but you know, Gamescom is like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So what was it like being on the stage and being in front of all those people? Like, was it how did it sort of, was there anything comparable that you've ever seen in real life?
No, it was so cool. Like, autumn and winter, or like autumn was my first ever LAN. It's like the one in Queensland, and I get that, I'm like, oh cool, I get to play on stage. There's a couple hundred people standing in front, blah blah blah. Then we like get to Gamescom, and we like get dropped off at like the back entrance, because like Gamescom is absolutely massive. There's like 10 different halls, and then like League was only like a tiny corner in like one of the halls. Like, it's completely huge, and we get like dropped off at this back area, and we walk through, and there's just so many seats, because like I wasn't filled on like when we got there. Obviously, we got there early.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, for the first day of play, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like media day or something, so there wasn't that big a crowd for like the group stage anyway. But we get there and like the stadium is just so huge and it's like really cool. Like you watch LCS and see the stage they're playing on, and that was the stage we played on. And it was just such a cool experience being able to like play on that setup. You're just like, oh, it's just so amazing. And then I don't know, there's all these famous people running around like Shox and D-Man and all that sort of stuff. And you're just like, oh.
Did you get to talk to those guys much before you actually, like during the whole time you were there?
Like not as much. Like there was a big backstage area, and we had to get like makeup and stuff done. So when we were like waiting around for like
No way,
makeup,
really?
yeah, it was really weird. But,
Wow.
like I've never had that before. And then
I never
like,
even considered that they would make pro gamers do makeup before they get out on stage. I mean, seriously, what the hell? That's just crazy.
yeah, I don't know. We got like face cams and stuff. I'm not sure, but it was just a cool experience. And, like so we're all just standing around like one at a time, and then like I don't know, Quick Shot walks past and he's like, "Oh, hey, you guys are the Australian team," and Carl was like, "Oh, good day." And then,
He sounded very, very Australian when he was being interviewed. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was so funny. And so like we got a quick chat to them like before the games, etc. And they were like, "Oh, how you feeling?" We're like, "Yeah, pretty confident." Blah blah blah. And then like I don't know, spoke to Shox. She like wished us good luck, all that stuff. But like we didn't get much of a chance because like it's super busy for them.
Did you
Sorry?
did you like fangirl out in that moment? Like, oh my god, Shox spoke to me.
Oh, the dream.
The dream is alive.
The dream.
That's not the dream, man. That's not the dream. But this is a PG-rated podcast, so we can't talk about the dream. All right.
Didn't go to Worlds, but talk to Shots. It's alright. Shots, no, not Shots. Oh.
Now let's talk a bit about the game. So day one was pretty good for you guys. 2-0 against Russian Force. 1-1 versus Dark Passage. Let's talk about the first game versus Dark Passage because I thought I thought you in particular played really, really well. Like I thought your Alistar play was like phenomenal. I'm like, wow, I wish I could play Alistar like that. So let's started off. I mean, I think it's fair to say that you guys had a tough start, a slow start.
Yeah.
Basically lost first blood. Do you lose first blood in every game?
Apparently.
I think
that's a thing, right?
Well, I know against Dark Passage you guys did. I just can't remember against Russian Force, but so there's a rough, a slow start. Your part where I guess it was probably, I don't know, the 10-15 minute mark or something where I think you guys started to turn it. So what was your thinking at that point? Like playing Alistar, how did you sort of try to get back in the game? Like what was your thinking in trying to get back in the game? Because I think it was your plays in particular, like some really key knockups that was what turned it. So.
Yeah, so like to do with the slow start, we actually like got the lane swap that we wanted, and etc. So we were like really far ahead, or like not really far ahead, but like in the really really early stages of the game, because like Renekton in a lane swap is like completely useless.
Yep.
And then he wasn't farming jungler, and he was just getting denied a bunch, and then we like overcommitted for that kill, and that set us behind, and like Renekton got like 3 kills or assists or whatever it was, and got them back. But then so it's kind of standard for us, I guess, to be behind or be the team that outscales. So like just by the nature of the champions we sort of play, and like have Minky top lane is always favored, like Shyvana and like split push type stuff, Jax when he was viable, stuff like that. So we were just looking to like hold on to like objectives as best we can, and just outscale basically, I guess. So like if we have vision control, like if we have vision of dragon, we can contest. If we don't, we don't, because like it's suicide, that sort of stuff. So you just look for like opportunities to, I don't know, get things done, I guess. And then Alistar is just it's just so broken.
Yeah.
It was like, because mind you, we were playing on the patch before, and the alley pick I didn't actually like prioritize until we scrimmed against SK. And like, because leaving Os, Braum was still like first pick or you lose the game like priority, right? And then we went over there and scrimmed SK, and I picked Braum, and the N Raider just picks Alistar and just like completely dumpsters us. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is really good. And so like, it was funny that, I don't know, like Alistar became such a priority and that I got so much praise for it, which was like really cool. Considering not that I hadn't played it, but we hadn't really practiced with it at all. And then played it once and never got it again.
Yeah.
But, I did get it against Russian Force actually. But yeah, so it was kind of not to say comfort, like it's not comfortable being behind, but we've been in that situation a lot where like we are the team that outscales, and so we just kind of just do our own thing, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so how did that work out differently? Because really, the second game against Dark Passage, and then really, I mean, the finals obviously, didn't go so well. How is it different? Like, so what happened in those games that, you know, that you weren't able to turn it around? Is it just the champs, or like was the champs they picked, or was it this like their rotations, or what was it, or was it a combination?
It was a mixture of things. Like the AD, like Holy Phoenix, plays like super aggressive all the time, which is not good. It's like it's not good to be passive all the time. It's not good to be aggressive all the time. You got to have a mix. And so he makes like really reckless plays. And so like in the bot lane where I got like the first 3-man knock-up and it like turned the game almost, like where he got black shielded and just dashed at Carbon on Elise, and I just like knocked them all up and they died.
Yep.
So like they let us back in, I guess, just by the way they were playing. Like it was really sloppy and all over the place, and like they'd pick fights that they shouldn't be picking, like in chokes, and I just like flash over a wall and pulverize like 3 of them. And so it was just like positioning errors, I guess, and like not recognizing that even like we were behind, but not recognizing or like not respecting the amount of like damage we could output, sort of thing.
Now we just had a question in the chat from Union asking about Minky and Nidalee, because that seemed to be a particular key pick in the top lane. I know at least one of the games, I think it might have been the third one, like it was just it seemed like there was just nothing, like she just got away, and there was she was just so tanky and so you know, so mobile, you know, it was hard to deal with her. Was that, like, how did that work out? Because I mean, I personally was expecting going to the third game that Minky would pick it or ban it. So how did that work out in particular?
Yeah, so before we left, like the Oceania and like EU like prioritize different things. Like that's how they have different metas, right? Like they play the game differently. Nobody in OS had like played Nidalee like in a competitive environment, really, because it was a counter pick to Maokai, and then they just realized that they could blind pick it into anything anyway. But so like Maokai hadn't really hit OS by the time we left, and so we hadn't had any practice against Nidalee, and then even in scrims, like nobody really played it, and then we get there on the day, and then they're just picking Nidalee and just destroying the 1v1. So like we were trying to lane swap it. Minky, like he does play it. Like when it first got like reworked, when she first got reworked, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, Bruiser Nidalee is amazing." He played it a bunch, and then we had like tried some like Nidalee TF Rengar comps, but they were like a failure. They would just never work, and so we kind of were just like, "Oh, Nidalee not that good," and so we kind of like dropped it. And so like he can play it, it's just it wasn't in a like competitive champ pool. I guess on the day, and then not banning it was sort of like, you hear about teams when they like lose a series or whatever, they're like, "Oh, we had a plan and then we went in and then we did the complete opposite of our plan," you know? And like we lost. And so we've had that happen to us before. And so we went in with a plan which was like shut down, like we kept banning Triss because Holy Phoenix is like, if you look at DP, you just consider like Holy Phoenix to be their like one-man carry. Like they put everything into their bot lane, and then like their jungler just sits around bot so that they can't get like ganked, and he just counter ganks, that sort of thing, and then he just like carries. So like that was our plan, and we thought like we don't want to change it, I guess. We were a bit like stubborn in that regard. And we thought, like, we kept trying to lane swap Nidalee, but the level 1s were pretty good, and they kept warding for it and predicting a lane swap. Like, it wasn't, like, we like, obviously, we could have done it better. I mean to say, like, we made it pretty obvious what our plan was going into the game, I guess I would say. And so, like, they just read us like a book, and then wouldn't let us lane swap the Nidalee. And, like, Nidalee's always going to win a 1v1. Like, almost doesn't matter what you pick. She just wins all the matchups. And then they... Like, we were surprised because their jungler kept, like, diving top. And because we were, like, playing passive bot lane in, like, the first game. And we were just, like, letting him, like, despite the fact that we had, like, a semi-favorable matchup, or, like, we had opportunities to go in, we didn't go in because we didn't know where the jungler was, etc. So, like, we'd set ourselves behind bot, and then the jungler kept like diving top. So it was like we had 2 losing matchups, and then like yeah. So I don't know. It just wasn't good.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out, did it?
No, well, I mean, I guess it's easy for people sitting in the comfortable chairs in our own homes in front of Twitter to say, "Oh, you guys got it wrong." But I mean, on the day, obviously, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah. You're trying to think about everything, and it's one of those things. So I mean, I think it was obvious from our perspective, but we weren't there and we weren't on the stage, and we didn't have to deal with the pressure that you guys are on. So it's I mean, it's one of those things, I guess. So I mean, what was your takeaway from like when you guys sort of got back and thought about how everything happened? Like how did you guys reflect on that as a team? In terms of your play and all that sort of stuff.
I think we like as a team, like I don't think the games in like Cologne highlighted. I got asked this the other day actually. Like I don't think they highlighted any issues that we didn't already know about. Like we often fall behind early because we like over aggressive and then like TP behind us, and that happened in like multiple games against DP, and that sort of stuff. So there were no issues that were like new, I guess. But it just sort of like highlighted what our issues were, and then specifically with our like pick ban phase and our like plans going into games, we were too focused on trying to deny them their play style and not like instead of just playing our own game, and that's what it's sort of like what Immunity did at Winter to us, how they kept picking Nidalee and kept picking Ziggs support because for some reason they thought we wanted to play Ziggs every game, which we didn't. And so like we focused too much on trying to deny the way they played compared to like just playing our own game out sort of thing.
Now, for those who are listening on the stream, make sure that if you've got questions, chuck them in the Twitch chat. We've still got a bit of time to go, so if you have any questions for EGym, chuck them in there. Now, what about your own like personal sort of takeaway? Like, how was it when you look back on that? It was obviously a huge event. Like, what did you personally sort of take away from the whole experience of going to Wildcards?
I took away that it was amazing. I want to go there next year, so hopefully the plan is to win everything and get there next year and actually win. That's a hard one. I don't know.
Okay. Do you sort of feel like you've changed as a person as a result?
Oh no, not really. I haven't had any sort of like philosophical like, epiphanies.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, like,
no
I guess I'm interested. Like, it's really important that obviously the scene grows here in Australia and OCE. So I mean, like, does this kind of thing kind of like really focus you on wanting to contribute to that growth? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is this something you're like, yeah, cool, I want to spend more time playing, I want to spend more time building my team, I want to like be a larger presence here so I can connect more with those events? Or is it like, yeah, cool, that was fun, but I've got to keep on studying and I'm going to quit this game next year,
No. So I think like going from OS events and then going to like wildcards, it's like huge, right? And then you get there and you realize that like oh my god, like this is what LCS players like do every week, and it's like that's the dream as like a player in like OS, right? Is to like play on that level. And so I guess it's sort of like you experience it and you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I want to do everything I can to get back here. So I guess coming back, there's even more drive to like do well as a team and like sort of get ourselves back into that situation. And there's such a big difference like in terms of just the caliber of the event, like the amount of people, the amount of like Riot staff that are like handling everything. Like backstage was like huge. We had our own room to like set up runes masteries, like play custom games before we got on stage. Whereas like
did you have a rider? Could you demand
Sorry?
Did you have a rider? Could you demand like M&Ms with no brown ones in it?
We had Benji and Stupendous. They came over with us, and so like they were really good. They were like our managers, I guess, for the weekend.
Yep.
Like they were just like, if you need anything, talk to us, and we'll talk to like EU Riot. We'll get anything you need. Blah blah blah. They just fed us with Red Bull and pizza for like the 3 days we were practicing.
Whoa, awesome.
It was
it's the life.
no, but it's I don't know if it's like a German thing But we had this because we were in the Riot studio. Sorry, no, we were in the LCS studios where like the LCS teams sit before they go on stage or whatever. And so we were in Rockat's room. Like that's irrelevant. But anyway, like the player manager, I forget her name, was like, "Hey, I'm gonna order you guys pizza," and we're just like, "Oh my god, amazing! Like, yeah, free pizza, right?" And she's like, "What do you want?" And we were in like champ select for rank fives. We're like, "Oh, just I don't know, just get us normal stuff. Like, we'll eat whatever, right?" And then we come back, and like we finish our game, and she's like, "Oh, pizzas are here." And we're like, "Oh, awesome! Like, I'm really hungry." And it's like prawn and broccoli pizza.
Wow.
Like, oh my lord, never again. And so we actually just drank Red Bull and ate prawn and broccoli pizza for like 3 days leading up to the event.
Whoa.
It was
Nice.
it was not great. Oh god, I got sidetracked. Where was I? Where did I come from?
We're talking about growing the scene and like wanting to
yeah.
get back there and how awesome it was, and blah blah blah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So just about like, okay, so you see an event like that big, and that's like standard in Europe, and it's like you wanna do everything you can to get us up to that level, I guess.
I think kind of on a related point. So like you guys are Legacy Esports. I mean, like, we've had this thing where teams are going out and forming their own organizations, so they're kind of like, putting their banner down in the ground, this is who we are. So I'm interested, like, why do you think teams are doing that at the moment? Like, what are your sort of plans to sort of like establish your own brand and like build Legacy Esports so that it lasts sort of, the test of time?
Yeah, so I guess the reason more and more teams are doing it is because like there's not a lot of like money in the O scene, right? Like the NA players, like let's use them as an example. They have like LCS prize winnings, they get salaried, all this sort of stuff. They have sponsors, and there's enough money in it for them to like be a full-time league player. Whereas
Sure.
that's not the case in OS. Like a lot of us are studying like in school. Some of us are still in like school, whereas compared to, like,
yeah.
university, school, not uni school. That sort of stuff. So a lot of so organizations are like, you get less from an Oceanic org than you do from an NA org, so to speak. And so a lot of teams are like, they're going out on their own, realizing that going with an Oceanic org is like more of a hindrance, or like they have to do a lot for the org and they get not a lot in return, sort of thing. So they're realizing that, and they're just like, well, we'll just go out on our own. We have the freedom to like do what we like. We can promote our own brand. Like, we're not just some branch of some massive organization. We're our own thing now. And so you promote it the way you want to, like build the brand the way you want to, I guess.
Well, I mean, so how does that like kind of work? Like, in terms of, obviously you guys are going to go out and you're going to play a game. You're going to play it as hard as you can. You're going to try and win like tournaments, and that's it. But like, what it goes into it behind the scenes? Like what else goes on to really like build that brand? And is there like a 1-year plan, like a 5-year plan? Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean?
Like Legacy, like at the moment we have like Coach Luke and we have our manager Uber. So it's not just the 5 players, I guess, and we don't like play the game and then do like behind the scenes stuff as well. So it's like shared among a lot of people, and I don't know. How can I answer this? I don't know. I'm useless.
So is it a case of like they're kind of, you've sort of got ideas and like you've had discussions and stuff, but it's very early on in the piece and you're sort of like feeling your way through it?
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I guess we've just, well, not just, but like after winter, we formed our own thing, and leading up to wildcards, our main priority was like we'd formed like Legacy or whatever. But we didn't have much going on in like behind the scenes stuff because our main priority is just like, we just want to do as well as we can at wildcards. Like that's the one priority. We want to practice. We want to play the game right now. So coming back, like more is being done, but I don't know. I don't want to go into too much detail.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. That's all good.
So we had a question from Union again. So he says, if you don't mind, what do you think the errors that you could improve on from Gamescom? What do you think were the errors? Okay, anyway, what could you?
That I individually could improve on, or?
Yeah.
I think like being more confident in like my calls, I guess, because like in game 1, right, our plan was to go in and just like we basically gave them a free bot lane just because we were so scared that if like we tried to gank it or whatever and they got like a counter gank and then we'd just like lose the game because their AD suddenly got 3 kills. And it's just like we were playing so passively and we just like gave them a free lane, which is completely awful. Like why would you do that? So just being more confident, I guess, because I've never had that issue. Like I go in like I don't know like before we won Winter, people would always ask in like interviews and stuff like, oh, how is it playing against Immunity's bot lane? Like, oh, they're so formidable sort of thing. And I've always said that I don't really care who I'm playing against. Like if Radier picks Twitch, like he can only do what Twitch can do. Like it doesn't matter if it's some like, I don't know, Bronze 5 Twitch or some Challenger solo queue Twitch or it's Radier. Like they're limited by what the champion can do. So it's like almost irrelevant who's playing it. And then that's like the first sort of time where I've ever let that impact the way I play, I guess. So letting sort of out of game expectations or plans like mess with the way we should play the game, I guess. So it's more like a mindset thing.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever had that sort of problem. And then like the second and third game, I was just like, no, that's like, I realized I'm just like, no, that's awful. We're not doing that again. And then like in the last game we played like Vayne Nami and we were winning lane 2v2. It's just like we should have just done that the entire time and it would have been fine. But so there's that. There's I think just being more as sort of like a team-wide thing, more selective in our shot calls or something like that. Like we'd always just improving on the fact that we always overextend. Like early game, we go too aggressive, and like in the last game, no, in the first game, we were like actually we outscaled and we were holding on for a really long time, and they had TF Nidalee, and like we won the team fight in top lane, and then we pushed out and we took like 2 towers and tried to take a third, and it was just a stupid like overextend against a TF, and then because we got greedy sort of thing, just like curbing the greed, I guess. And not letting the like hype, because like games are what the crowd doesn't notice, or from a spectator's point of view, you don't like if you're in a game, you can feel the momentum like swing. Like if you win a team fight, like you notice it in solo queue, like you can feel that you're going to win the next team fight sort of thing. Like, and we don't have access to like gold values. We can't see, oh, we're down 6k or whatever. Like we don't know that. You can make an estimated guess, but like you never know for sure. So like your games are extremely like momentum based, and so not letting that momentum like skew our decision making, I guess, just being like calm and collected is a big thing. Because if you are like able to listen to our voice comms in like scrims versus our voice comms on stage, it's like, oh, it's so hectic. Oh, sorry, I dropped a pen. It's so like everybody is just talking all the time. We're like so hyped, and it's like really
it's
good.
The adrenaline.
Like, yeah, the adrenaline. There's so much information being passed around. Like everybody is talking, and so it does get really like hypey, I guess. And so like not letting that get to us too much, I think. I'll go with that. That's good.
That sounds good. Very, very sound advice for anybody playing the game.
Yeah.
Now we've only got a few minutes left. Steve, did you want to ask any questions before we?
Well, I have a couple of ones that come to mind, but really the only one I really want to ask is why didn't you pick Orianna when you had Alistar Rengar already picked?
Oh, that was
that,
Russian Force, right?
Yeah. I mean, you guys won that game.
Yeah.
But I think you guys would have won that game regardless.
Yeah, like excluding the fact that I think we would have won it regardless because they had like a support main playing mid and 3 subs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you fully grasp how OP Zillion is, or how he was that patch, because we've now had a patch since. But like, he's super broken, and he was just so good. We had Cogmore as well. And I remember, like, I listened to the podcast last week and you mentioned this, and I'm sitting here like, no, that's so wrong. Like, they had Janna as well, and it's like, why would we pile on more hard engage into a Janna? Because, like, if you pick Orianna Rengar, you're, like, completely reliant on that one, like, combo, right? Like, if you screw up the combo, then rip, there goes your engage. Like, you have no way to, like, re-engage a fight and that sort of thing. So it's like, we had the Zillion instead of the Orianna because we didn't want to pack on more hard engage onto a Janna, which is just like not smart. Like if we did that, we'd be relying on the Janna to mess up rather than relying on our good engage sort of thing. Like she can just press R and like completely negate everything, and that's not something you want to pick into voluntarily.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
So,
that was
is
yeah,
that-
that was really the main thing I wanted to know. That was
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. Do you agree now, or you still think Orianna was a better choice, or what?
Oh, well, the Janna point is a good one. If I was putting together that team comp, I would have seen Rengar and Alistar with very little follow-up because Zillion is very much a kind of prolonged fight, whereas Alistar and Rengar are very all-in, so it seemed to me that the damage of the actual team composition or the fight style of the team composition was kind of contradicting itself. But I can definitely see, well, I saw how it played out, so...
Yeah. Well, I think, like, Zillion does a retarded amount of damage. Like, he actually does so much damage late game. His bombs just hit for so much. And you can just bomb the Rengar as he's, like, stealthing in. You can speed him up and bomb him. It's kind of like the old Twitch Zillion, or it's like the Twitch Zillion thing that SKT ran when they brought out Zillion mid for the first time. They just, like, he stealths, and then you just speed up and, like, while he's in stealth, and he can get so far. And it's like, yeah, I think Alistar and Rengar is, like, fine engage in itself. Like, you don't need any more follow-up from the mid lane because, like, Rengar's going to go in, they're going to focus him. And Rengar can survive, especially, like, tank Rengar, for a really long time. With, like, Carbon always says this because he gets super low and then he gets, like, all his ferocity stacks back and he double heals. And then he has Aegis as well, so he has the, like, shield on top of that. And it's, like, people burn so much damage trying to kill Rengar and he just sits on, like, 50 HP and he just doesn't die because he's got so much, like, sustain. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So, where to from here? Like, so obviously there's the Oceanic Regionals in November at PAX. You know, what's the future for Legacy Esports?
The future, the goal is to get back to wildcards next year, and we want to win. Like, so the goal is worlds, I guess.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of structured play in Oceania, I guess. Like, you have a tournament, and then you, like, have a break for 3 months, and then you have another tournament sort of thing. So OS teams tend to just like, take it as it comes. Like, you take it tournament by tournament. And so in the meantime, we'll just be, like, practicing, scrimming other teams, playing tournaments whenever they come up. Like, obviously, we've already qualified for finals, so we'll be in that. You just want to try and win everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the plan. So
Actually, that brings up a
do
question.
the best we possibly can. So
That just brings up a question that I guess I've really wanted to know the answer to ever since really before Winters, which was so you've qualified for the Oceanic Finals, which means that you're probably going to be excluded from a lot of events because they don't like having teams have already qualified to participate.
yeah.
How does that work? Like, how does that change? Because obviously for the other teams, they've got to qualify, therefore they're playing competitive games. They've got their head in the game. You know, how are you going to sort of adjust your preparation?
I guess, is that sort of stemmed, like, from CG results? Like, is that question coming from there? Or...
No, not so much CG, just in general. Because I mean, I know, like, well, let's have a look at the events. So I mean, there's ACL. Well, I guess there is Cyber Game.
Oh no, because, like, we've had less than stellar CG results.
Yeah.
Because I won't go into the reasons, but whatever. Like, we haven't played a game with full roster yet.
Yeah.
It's not good. But anyway, so, like.
But I mean, I just know that with the previous final, you know, the previous events,
like how
the qualifying events haven't been excluded, and you sort of think, well, to what extent is that going to hamper your practice for this big event? Because you're not in that real competitive heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, like, you play a tournament, like, you play to win. You don't, just because, like, all the tournaments now, or, like, this year, have prize pool, right? Maybe, like, last year, they were only for qualifying spots. And so, I guess if you've already qualified, you were excluded. But you still want to win, like, everything. So, this year, like, Immunity couldn't play in last year's ACL. They couldn't play in... Sorry, Exodus, I guess they are now.
Yeah.
Old Immunity. Exodus, they couldn't play in a bunch of tournaments because they were, like, the organizers, like, no, you can't play. This year, we can play, I'm pretty sure, in most things, like that have a prize pool, because it's unfair to exclude a team out of a tournament that does have a prize pool. So like, let's say we win and like, I don't know, NV comes second or something, like the slot obviously goes to the next team.
Yep.
Because like we can't qualify twice. But I don't think it hampers us in any way. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, if people wanted to find out, keep track of what you guys are doing and follow what's happening, where can they? Is there social media they can find you on?
Yep. We have our Twitter, or like a team Twitter, at Legacy Os. You can follow me individually at I think it's EGym LOL.
Yep.
Yeah, it's EGym LOL. And then we have a Facebook page as well, and it's just at Legacy. Let me find that out.
I think it's Legacy Esports.
Legacy Esports LOL or something like that. So we got Facebook, we got Twitter, and then all of us players have our individual Twitters as well. So chuck us a follow.
Yeah, no, and I just want to say congratulations for everything you guys did. I mean, it's disappointed that you didn't get to go to Worlds, but I think you still played like outstandingly, and a real credit to the Oceanic scene.
Totally.
Yeah, I wouldn't say outstandingly, but
well,
we played. We didn't. It's just kind of one of those things where like we just didn't play the best on the day. Like it was just we honestly just had a bad day, and that just sucks.
But you're still a credit, like you're still a credit to the Oceanic scene. Like I think people would walk away thinking you guys like worked really hard, and obviously the results weren't there, but like I think it's working towards building the Oceanic scene as like a credible place for playing League of Legends.
Getting it out there. Like that's what we want, right? We just want more people interested in the scene. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and I guess that pretty much wraps it up for episode 51. We'll be back again next week. Make sure you send us your questions, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Facebook, and don't forget the Oceanic Battle Arena, which is this Thursday from 6 p.m. If you're bronze to gold, join us. Join the OzLoL chat room. That's where we post all the details, and we'll stream it and give you tips on how to play better. So thanks for joining us, everybody in the chat. Sorry there was some technical difficulties at the start, and we'll be back again next week.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.